Hello, Kye and Kelly. So nice to have you here.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you for having us
all
all the
the
way
way-
from Australia.
Good morning from Australia.
Australia. I'm so excited. You have to understand how excited I am. I know it's morning for you. It's evening for us. I have been anticipating this conversation for a while. So thank you so much for saying yes to being on Michelle's Conversations That Matter.
Oh,
We love the invite. Thank you.
We are very honored. So thank you. Very honored.
Awesome. So, hey, listen, I met you both on your It's More Than Money podcast. You had invited me on to chat with you, and I loved our conversation. We had a really nice chat, around mental health and my story, but I loved how concerned you were about that topic. And I thought, I don't know, I just felt a connection with you, and it made sense for me to reach back out when I started my series to say, hey, I know you guys are in this space around money. What I'm out to do with my series is really empower people, inspire people, give people information, just even weave in those uncomfortable conversations that really do help make a difference out there. So I like to say I'm a conversation starter. But for those of you who don't know, I have my own company. It's called Trifecta Mental Health, and I'm out to cause change when it comes to invisible disabilities in the workplace. I want there to be more compassion and understanding. And I'm also helping people build resilience, especially now in the face of COVID. So today we are here to talk about mindfulness and money, and and who knows? I didn't know that. I just thought money was money, but there's this connection. So I want to dive right into this with you. But first, could you introduce yourselves?
Go.
Definitely. So my name's Kelly Harris. I'm the director of Perron Financial Group. Actually, my title at Perron Financial Group is the Director of Human Connections. So all day, every day, I connect with people and talk to them about absolutely everything, because I believe that even though our business is around money, money is a lot deeper, and the conversations, like what drives us, what do we stay up at night, not being able to sleep over money. Money is just such a huge thing in that mental health space. So my role is to connect every day with our clients, potential clients, and the community, and ask them, how are we feeling about money? And all those awkward conversations that we don't talk to our friends or our family because we're embarrassed. So I get out there and I talk to as many people as I can about mindfulness and money.
Awesome.
And I share my role with my husband.
Very, very complimentary, I must say. So, my name's Kye Harris, and obviously is the better half of this duo.
Oh, thank you.
Director of Perron Financial Group as well. I've been in this sort of industry and financial planning for about 20 years, and I guess my desire and passion, to put it into context for anyone who might be watching or listening, is similar to Kelly's in that, in and around money, there's such an emotional charge, and what I've found over the years is such a connection between our self-worth, our happiness and fulfillment in life is really attached to the money, what we earn. And quite often how we value ourselves is attached to how much money we feel we have. And I do find a huge gap often between what people feel or believe they're capable of, and financially, when we start talking to them, they're actually capable of a lot more freedom and fulfillment than they've ever expected. So, it's a big passion of mine to get people to see what their financial capabilities are, and therefore what that translates into their life and their fulfillment, and what choice and flexibility and freedom they really do have. So that's our aim each and every day. I think we've really sort of found our purpose. We love helping people. And like Kelly said, we talk to them regularly, and the question we do genuinely ask is, how are you feeling about your money? What's the day-to-day decisions look like, and what can we do to help?
Yeah, it's a huge topic, and it's something that can be really daunting and awkward and frightening for people. And when we go down that line of mental health, it's money is a huge thing. Sure. They might not be able to buy groceries, they might not be able to buy a new car that they've got to take their children to go to school. Like, it's so massive, and it's just, people don't talk about it enough, and we're here to share our craft to make sure that people lean into talking about money. And there's no right or wrong. It's just like, let's help.
Yep.
So in preparation for our conversation, I did a little bit of research, and I went to Psychology Today, and there was an article in there entitled "The 8 Beliefs You Should Have Around Money." And it said, I'm just cherry picked a point here. It says that prosperous people hold the following beliefs about money. The universe is abundant. The universe wants me to prosper. All prosperity begins with a belief. And money is energy and will appear as you really feel about it. So what do you think about those prosperous? I can't talk tonight. What do you think about the
It is
prosperous?
my time there. Have you had a couple of wines, Michelle? Or...
No, I haven't had any wine. You would think I have water.
Well,
what do you
absolutely.
think?
Like that's a wow question. Like that can go so far and so deep.
It's definitely a loaded question.
So, in a nutshell, yes. And the stigma around what you're saying there is it's questioned. People look at it as if, that's crap. That's not true, but it really is true. Like you can see a direct link, and through all our podcasting and interviews with people, different clients, they are where they are financially because of what they believe in.
Yes.
And they're also how they think about the universe. And does the universe provide and look after you, and do you trust in it?
Yes.
Or do you come from a place of lack and scarcity and no, I've got to do it hard and it's not going to work? So it's really the topic of what we're talking about today. Mindfulness is being very, very mindful of your thoughts, which are your beliefs, and that will clearly show up in what you're attracting into your life, and in particular money.
Yeah, and your daily decisions, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's very, very true, and it's a what's one word we would use in Australia? A little bit of a kooky path to go down when you start looking at, I guess, spirituality, the universe, and how that does or does not support money in your life. But it's definitely intrinsically linked.
Well, when you meet with your clients, you were sharing with me that you have a sort of a review of their values. Can you talk more about the values and what you do to help them align better?
Oh, that's one of our really exciting processes is actually getting to know our clients on a deeper level, because it is more than money. I mean, money will come when you start unpacking everything. And the values conversations, holy moly, it just blows everyone away. And it is hard. It is difficult. And people often haven't lent into that space before. So when they do, it's such a load off their shoulders that they didn't even realize that they were carrying. So I'll get Kye to talk more about that process because he's the one in front of them.
Yeah, it's very, very, very common. We work a lot with business owners in particular, but this is very common for people in general. And when you talk about work and career, so we're wired, conditioned, we're coached, guided by parents and culture and society and whatever it may be, to community to get into a good education, and here we call it a trade, get into a good trade, get a good job that pays well, and then you can put a roof over your head, you can pay your bills, raise a family. But what we're not taught to do is we're not taught to what to do with our money once we've worked so hard to get it. So what we work on there is the disconnect between the harder I work, the better off I'll be, and what you actually value in life.
Yeah.
So what we value, for example, myself and Kelly, I might value just purely time. And I'm happy earning next to nothing, working a day every other week, but going to the beach, reading books, and that's my life. That's what I love. But Kelly, on the other hand, might want to travel. She might want to get to Africa, which she did last year, to support some charitable organizations or do some really, really big humanitarian work. But Kelly couldn't get there without money. And Kelly couldn't get there unless we had our business and our paycheck and that sort of thing coming through. So identifying the values is extremely important to then set the goals, because if we don't identify what someone's values are, and one client in particular comes to mind, and again, very common, a business owner, they've been at it for 12, 15 years, and they hate it.
Yeah.
And when I really dig down into what the problem was, is they're missing time together, and not just time sitting on the lounge recuperating at nighttime after work.
Yeah.
It's the quality time to sit there, look at each other, hold each other's hands and connect.
Yeah.
So the business, in their pursuit of the harder I work, the better off I'll be, they've lost everything they value. On paper, they're worth a lot of value. They've got a lot of net worth.
What do they say? Asset rich.
Time poor for these people.
Poor. Yeah.
So the value for them, the core value was quality of time. And that's a concept like a love language of Dr. Chapman, I believe it was. So the love language for this couple and this family effectively was quality time. So now we're working with them to free up that time by, do we scale the business back?
Mm-hmm.
Do we drop how many staff they have so they can get back to where they were 10 years ago? Because for them, that was a happy place. They had less responsibilities and they had more time.
Mm-hmm.
So they chase the money for the sake of chasing the money, but it's not aligned with their value of quality of time together.
Right.
So once we know that value, we start setting goals that fulfill those life values. And then we start putting, this is where we come into it mainly with, where's the money go? To fulfill that goal, which ultimately fulfills the core life value that they hold.
I love it.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I mean, I love it. I think it's so important. We were talking before we went live about how so many people, because of COVID, through no fault of their own, have lost their jobs and they're struggling financially. And how the struggle financially ties into their self-worth. And you weave in these values, so it's like this formula for just it's unfortunate, literally, we're all living through this. But I guess, what have you been seeing, what have you been hearing, and how have you been supporting your clients who may have lost their jobs, who may be strained or struggling? Like, what do you say to them, and how do you work with them?
I think that's a great question, and we're on the we're on the pavement every day doing that with our clients and our community. Actually, our community involvement was with big dealerships, motor dealerships over here that they've dropped 30% in revenue. They've had to put so many staff off. It's horrific, but we keep saying it's just now, it's not forever. So let's all get together and, let's all everyone's got a different craft. So let's all get in on the table, get our bums on the seats, and let's help these people. Because that's what community-minded people do. They don't do something to serve themselves. For Kye and I, we are giving our time to organisations in the community that need us at the moment, and money is massive. People have never budgeted before, but now have to budget. People's wages have now gone half.
And this actually is also for, like, no matter what people are earning, they're starting to look and reflect and second guess what's actually happening, because it has been too good for so long. And I won't say too good, but it has been really great for a while now. Yeah. So human beings being habitual creatures, we fall into a nice comfortable pattern, and then we get blindsided by a virus and everything changes in an instant. So it kind of reinforces, as a human, you go, okay, stuff can go down pretty bad. So everyone starts to pull back. Yeah, and they start reflecting, but soon enough we'll be back to the other pattern, which is our desire to acquire. That's a term I come. And
the thing is too, with the whole COVID, and there's been, when it comes around money, these people have they've debted themselves up. They've had the big house. They've got 4 cars. Children are in private schools. They go on private swimming lessons. They have private surfing lessons. All this now has had to be looked at. And, the clients and people that we're helping in the community, they've actually never written down on paper what they spend. And
is it worthwhile what they're spending on?
And they've had such a shock to realise, holy moly, we didn't realise this was coming out of our household.
Yeah.
So they've had to recircle back and then talk about what most is important to them in their lives and under their roof. And some of the things that they were paying for weren't important. They were just doing. They were living life doing. And they never stopped.
This is the mindfulness part.
They never stopped to actually go, I don't really want to do that. I'm just doing it.
I know. I feel like before COVID, we were all overscheduled, completely stressed out. COVID had the opportunity to say, slow down.
Yeah.
we're going to remove all of the busyness from your plate. You're going to have a chance to reflect. What matters to you?
Yeah.
You know?
It depends on what you subscribe to, but there's a theory out there that the world and the universe and the energy of the planet effectively was overheated.
Yeah.
And it, again, depending on what you believe in and subscribe to, but it was basically sent us this message to say we need to slow down, we need to reflect. And even a couple I was meeting with yesterday, they've actually settled a lot. So during what would supposedly be a tough time, they're happier than they've ever been. Because they've been forced to reflect back in. And a few months ago now, I suggested for them to feel more at ease was to practice gratitude every morning, write three things down at least every morning, what you're grateful for. And they've been doing that. And the lady said to me, she said, that's definitely helped because it's made me realize what I already have.
Well, you focus on what you focus on grows. Like you don't go out in your garden and you don't put your hose on a weed because you usually pull the weeds out. So why would you be hosing a weed?
That's good.
You have to hose the flowers. So what you focus on grows. And
quit hosing the weeds.
and that goes with your money too. What you focus on will grow.
Yes.
If you want more money in the bank, you focus on it and it will grow. If you say, I want more money in the bank, and then you go out and do this massive retail therapy and you spend all that money, well, maybe the focus is on looking good or feeling good inside. Like you've got to work what is your focus and what drives you to make those decisions around money.
And that's the mindfulness again.
Yeah. It's I was saying to you, Michelle, before we went to live, I was working with unemployment people before starting with Perron Financial Group, and some of them were the best budgeters ever. What they would do is get their fortnightly payment, and we would write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we repeat it. So we got their pay,
which is a government support payment.
Which is a government support payment. Okay. We separated it into 14 envelopes.
Okay.
They didn't buy their groceries. They didn't buy anything. We said, this is cash. So then Monday, they put that money in. They'd only have that. So
Monday's envelope was for Monday.
So they would go to the shops. Now, instead of buying the dearest steak, they would go, you know what? Their creative mind would tick in, I might use mince or make something else. So they were actually being mindful of their money. Instead of just going and making a purchase. They would be more creative with their money. Their money was going further. Once that money on Monday night, they would have more, they'd have left over. They'd put it in Tuesday's envelope. And that's how it would work. And it created a habit to be mindful of their spending and money. I mean, it's like if you have cash in your hand and you have your credit card or a bank card. Now, when you go to purchase something, you'd go, when you see that cash, man, I'm only going to have $5 left. But if you have a card, you just swipe it. It just the thought just goes.
It overdraws the account probably.
And then you go in and you log into your internet banking and you're like, whoo, man, I was not mindful of my money today.
And importantly, to add to that for people watching and listening, that the mindfulness and awareness. Now, no one, and I'm included in this, wants to look at or budget their money day to day or week to week. The whole purpose of creating the awareness and talking to people like us or seeking support from professionals in this sort of field is to get that reassurance that I can just go be free to do what I want to do, knowing that the money's working in the background. So we have a similar system for clients and people where you set up those envelopes, but it's all automated. They don't have to sit there and check everything every day. So they can literally have that time and the headspace to go and do what they really want to do and what they value most. So again, mindfulness is not about applying yourself to the budgeting and the cash every day. It's just awareness, make the changes that are needed to fulfill the values in your life, and then you get on with what you love doing.
I love that. You also said before we came on, Kelly, the idea. So far too many people, like I have different friends that have different philosophies, that you work and you save and you build your retirement and you live when you retire. You save everything. You're not really spending a lot of money now. You're spending it in your future. And I love the idea you were saying about mini retirement.
Mini retirements. Every 3 months is a mini retirement because, tomorrow's not promised. And we all know that. We can never, ever get back time. We work very, very hard, whatever space that looks in. And we need to be celebrating that every 12 weeks. Let's celebrate life. And if you're doing your money and your mindfulness, you will have money to do that. But, a lot of things don't cost any money either. Bushwalks, beach, there's so much. But whatever you want to do, it can happen. And that's what we do with our clients. Every 3 months, we celebrate their wins. So we really cut down to short-term goals, and that's really important.
Smaller bite-sized chunks. It's a lot easier for the human brain to conceptualize and grasp. If we're setting a retirement goal in 30 years' time, that's when it really becomes an automated system where let's just make sure this amount of money goes into this investment every month, and we'll check it. Like when you drive down a highway, you can't let go of the steering wheel entirely. You're still going to make the little adjustments. But it's such a longer term goal that the joy or the pain of it isn't felt for 30 years because that's when you turn up there and you've either have enough money or you don't. So that's why, as far as keeping the motivation going, the fulfillment and the joy of every day, that's why we maintain that shorter term contact.
And the positive affirmations around money. That's self-talk around money is a huge thing too.
The self-talk can be a big gremlin. Really can get into
it. Tell us more about that.
Well, you can go, Kye. Yeah.
This could be a long one. So
I think
basically, the way, and if we're on the topic of mindfulness and money, the way we approach money and the way we operate in and around money as an adult, it really does come from what we've seen, heard, or experienced with money or in and around money growing up.
Right.
Now, speaking on behalf of myself, looking back, I never felt that I went without. I had very, very good home. Dad was always a very, very hard worker. But what I did see was Dad worked extremely hard for not that much of a great reward. So money was still tight. So the belief that I carried into adulthood is you just keep working your ass off, but don't expect too much of a reward.
Right.
You'll only ever sort of create enough to get by. So that was the belief, unbeknownst to myself, until more recently, as self-development, etc., I became aware of. So this is a really, really, really common trait within just about everyone we see, and that's not necessarily about, like Kelly touched on earlier, what doesn't serve us. What does serve us is that everything was quite measured. Right. So I can be a very good budgeter. So I'm very, very astute with where my money's at, what we spent money on, what we should or what we shouldn't. That just comes like that, very automated. But the other side is I'm held back, or we used to be held back by that barrier of you just work hard and you don't expect much in return. So that kind of devalued myself. I never really valued me and my work to where it really should be until the last few years. So you see the flow-on effect of how, what's your add to point to that?
Look, I think just let basic, if you were going out if you are out asked to go to dinner and, there's so many, I remember back in my younger days, I would ask girlfriends to come out to dinner and their reply back via text or phone is, oh, I can't, I'm poor, I've got no money. Well, what does that look like? What were the decisions around that made you think that? And even saying I'm poor, like how does that affect your self-worth?
And they probably do have the $50 to go out to dinner.
Yeah.
But the mindset again is there's never enough. There's not enough. No matter what I do, there's not enough. And that's not something you sit there in your chair crying at night saying whatever I do is not enough. It's just that automatic split-second thought, the voice in your head that keeps reaffirming not enough, not enough. Yeah. So that's what you keep getting is not enough.
Yeah, and we found this with COVID. The more people I speak to at the moment, I've actually been so surprised at their creative minds around money because they have no choice now to not be creative around money. Like if I go back to the clients or people that I spoke to 2 years ago, they never had the creative mind of money at all. They didn't need to. They had money. It kept flowing into them. But now they've been stopped in their tracks and And it's actually, they're excited about money. Like when I speak to them now, they're like, oh yeah, I got this for my money. And, I got this for free, and they're bargain shopping. And it's become exciting for them. Money has become exciting for them. Money hasn't become, I'm earning, it's a chore, and I'm just paying out, and I'm working, and I'm getting my paycheck again. Money has become this creative game for people to look for more things, to be creative with more things, to make more things themselves instead of paying for it. So, money doesn't always have to be this little thing that sits on your back and is making all these decisions, whether they're good or bad. It's fun. Money can be fun.
I think we need to gamify it. I think it comes with the seriousness of our parents, unfortunately, how we view our relationship with it. Like, it doesn't have to be so serious.
No.
We can make it fun. I love what you said. I love your suggestions about the envelopes. I think there's just, I believe in everything that you're talking about, affirmations, how you feel about it, how you want to bring abundance into your life. You need to get present with what you're grateful for. These are all so important.
Yeah, and you've touched on a point there which was coming to mind as you were both talking, that sense of abundance, and that it's really, really difficult to have that just switch overnight. It really is a daily practice, and one of those daily practices are things like gratitude.
Yes.
Because when you start writing 3 things within yourself you're grateful for, which might be, I love the fact that my eyes work perfectly. I love the fact that I can get air in my lungs. Things like that. The other 3 outside of you might be, I love that I am grateful for the house, my home, the roof over my head. I'm warm, I'm cozy. I'm not stuck out in the cold, homeless, etc. You'll find that the daily practice of that over the weeks and months that follow, the list will get bigger and bigger and bigger. So while the feeling of lack or prosperity is focused on what our bank balance look like, and then we're filtering that bank balance to be enough or not enough according to what we experienced growing up, the practice of gratitude will make you realize how much you already do have and how much is already abundant in the world.
Yeah, and it's a relationship. Money is a relationship. You've got to befriend your money, and a lot of people don't friend their money. No. They don't like money. Like,
or they stick their head in the sand and hide away from it, acknowledging it, facing it. Yeah.
Befriend your money. Have conversations with your money. Have dates with your money every week. Say, money and me, we're going to go out to dinner and we're going to have a date tonight. And
actually, it's funny you say that, because I was going to say, one tip is write your money a letter.
So that was going to ask for a tip. Perfect. Kye, tell us. What, a letter? What?
Write your money a letter. Now, I did this, I don't know, maybe upwards of sort of 8 months ago, and I referred to it as I wrote my money a love letter. And I said, dear money. Now, I'm sort of casting my mind back a little bit. I probably don't remember too accurately, but overall, my letter was kind of the effect of, dear money, I love you. I love you being around. I'm so glad that you keep coming and flowing to me. And then, but part of the letter was to, geez, you can frustrate the hell out of me. Sometimes I don't feel like you're there when I need you there. It's like you're talking to someone. I know it sounds a bit cuckoo, and we've gone really off track now. But I'll tell you what, it was it's like if you've got a thought running around in your head. Yeah. It's like if Kelly's annoyed at me for something. It's running around in the head and it's stewing and it's building. She's getting angrier. When she says it out loud, she might realize that, okay, it's not as bad as I manifested it in my own head. So when you write things down, it just evokes that clarity, and you go, right, that's exactly where I stand. And then it gives you the ability to, again, mindfulness and awareness to go, what can I change? What's serving me here and what isn't? And it's so clear.
Yeah.
And that clarity, or not being clear, is what creates uncertainty. And then we end up in a vicious cycle of trying to do things that don't serve us. We create more uncertainty, but get it on paper, see what happens. That's the tip.
It's funny. I have you'll appreciate this. I have a money card in my wallet. It's this little green card, and you're supposed to have it up against your debit card, I think, or your cash card.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to ensure that you always have money. And whenever I look at that little green card, I'm like, so grateful, because I feel like it's doing its job.
And you know what that is? That's like the placebo effect. You get a sugar tablet, but you think you've got the medication.
I think.
By putting that card, and it's whatever works.
Yeah.
Put the card in, and your mind's automatically going, when I see that card, that means money.
That means
And
money.
it's going to help me and support me.
Yep.
So we've all done it. We've created these rules that we
Yeah.
live life by, and sometimes those rules help us and sometimes those rules don't.
Yeah.
It's creating the awareness around which ones do and which ones don't.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We recircle back because some of them are serving us now and some of them aren't. And we need to go back and go, what's not serving us, and let's get rid of that, and let's create some new habits around money that are serving us now, that we can live that abundant life that we want.
And you got to remember too, abundance is different for everyone. So anyone listening, watching might be forgiven for thinking that abundance means massive houses, mansions, cars, but that, I guess, is a societal norm and how we measure abundance.
Right.
But what I've touched on before, and I think you might have earlier, abundance is more than just money. It's a good podcast, that one. It's more than money. Thank you, Michelle. But abundance is, the love you have from your family in and around you, the fact that you might have a community that you get involved with through sport, or, there's a lot more abundance in the world than just, again, the bank balance or what cash you're getting in every week.
Absolutely. And paying it forward. We're big believers in paying it forward. As long as we're happy, our children are healthy and happy, because happy can look like very different for a lot of people, but under our roof, we've got it, we'll pay it forward. And exactly what we're doing today, trying to share our craft with as many people as we possibly can to help them reframe maybe, or give them some tools and educate them around money, because like I said, it's still a is it taboo or whatever what's that saying, taboo, or was
taboo.
it
Taboo. It's a taboo.
that people are ashamed of. There's so much shame linked to money, and
especially here in Australia, I find. Not sure what the US is like. It seems to be more free flowing and open over there, or no?
I think it depends. Depends. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no one's having this kind of conversation. I haven't had this conversation with anyone. I think this is important because, I think right now we live in a world where there's scarcity because we've lost so much of the freedom, of the employment, of the financial security, the freedom to travel, the freedoms that we took for granted maybe. So I think people are sort of easily getting sucked into the vortex of the media that says there's a lack. We live in a lack world, and it's really just not true. And that, I think, is the first challenge that we have, right?
And that lack
agree.
World is it's
fear.
It's fear, but a lot of it, what I find when I'm talking to people every day, being the human connector, it's material things.
Yes.
It's material things that are making them feel this anxiousness that they can't get their hands on physically. Yeah. But it's such a good time to actually look within and go, let's rebuild here. Right. Let's get rid of stuff that's sitting here to feel okay if we are sitting in a shack.
Yes.
It's okay. I mean, when I went over to Tanzania last year for 2 weeks volunteering, I was sitting in a shack. I had the language. I couldn't speak their language, but I felt loved. I felt it in here. I didn't need anything else. And through this whole COVID thing, the material things have fallen. The experiences have fallen. And people now have actually looked inside their own homes, at their mums and dads, at their brothers and sisters. I lost my brother in February through COVID, not with the disease, but he was affected by motor neurone disease. And, it didn't matter what he had. It didn't matter that he worked so very, very hard. His life was taken by a terrible disease. And that's why it's so important to live your life every day and making sure that money doesn't affect those choices, because it comes from here.
Yeah.
It's who we are in front of.
And I think importantly to add to that, and a really significant dovetail of what you're both talking about, is that sense of security. So during a time of such uncertainty, we're feeling very insecure. And there's a concept that I come across a little while ago, and it will potentially make people think, question, and go, what the hell? But it's this illusion of security that we find in our bank balance, how big our home is, how good our job is. And effectively the disillusion or the delusional thought of security in those material items when like Kelly touched on, we've been forced to look within. So where we found security in our ability to afford the holiday we love, or the ability to afford the house or the car, that's been taken away. So we've been forced to look within for our own security, but our own sense of security is within us all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So how this ties into mindfulness and money is that the pursuit of money just for the sake of money, and that's a societal norm, that's not going to provide the fulfillment, the sense of security.
Right.
No matter how much money you have, that's why some of the richest people in the world, where the top 30%, they'll still commit suicide. They still have depression. Money doesn't solve those problems of feeling secure, feeling self-worth. So mindfulness, again, is about being aware of what you value and then directing the money into those buckets that help you feel that value and fulfill.
And that's
those
what
values.
we do very, very well here at Perron. That's definitely our superpower here, is to connect with people, and as soon as we do that, they're like, whoo, they're kicking goals personally, financially, in their business space, every space, because they're living life. They're not doing life. They're living life.
And sometimes it's just also, like, to add on to what Kelly's saying, sometimes it's just that permission. So, for example, you could ask anyone in a room, and almost everyone will put their hand up if they've been around someone, had a family member, friend, relative, or know of someone who's had cancer. So when you go into a remission, I think that's the term that we use over there as well. Remission generally means you're good, you're okay, you're clear. So what I'm getting to there is, when you go see that specialist, the oncologist, and the oncologist says, you're in remission, you're all clear, that permission and that word, you trust in that advice, and you trust, and you go, right, sigh of relief, I can now move on. So part of what we do is purely just that permission. As a professional and expert in our field, people come to us for that permission to go, so you're telling me that I can buy that car. You're telling me that I can pull back on work and only work 4 days a week. Is that what you're telling me, Kye and Kelly? So sometimes just that little bit of expert opinion and permission gives them the freedom to move on.
So you said something before in the beginning, Kye, you were talking about how our parents ingrained with us, work harder, just keep working harder. If you work harder and you put in the hours and everything, so that's something that I learned. I now appreciate being in control of how many hours I work and what I'm up to in life, instead of it being like I'm in the corporate space, just sort of grinding and keep going. And, and you also mentioned success and fulfillment. I think we're fans of Tony Robbins' work. He talks about, for you to have that in your life, for you to have balance in your life, you need to find a way to have success and fulfillment, because success without fulfillment is very empty, like you said.
Yes.
Or fulfillment without success, well, you can't eat, but you might be fulfilled. So it's like you have that balance of both of them. But I think that the biggest challenge we have is that we're groomed and from our upbringing to just work hard, put in more hours, and before you know it, you're blinking, and it's like retirement. What is it that you've enjoyed along the journey? So you
guys,
guys,
many retirements.
Because you give them permission. You give people permission to have a mini retirement, enjoy your life, I think that's so important.
Oh, it is so important, because you cannot take time back, and tomorrow's not promised. That was a big thing that I learned this year with the passing of my brother. And it is so, so important to lean into your money. Your money is your friend. It's not an enemy. It's your friend. It's your best friend.
And looking at it again from a gratefulness point of view, looking at what it already has provided. Yes. So myself, in my own path, I've been guilty of not enough, as in, okay, I set a goal. Now I'm here. So cool. Let's keep going. What's the next one? Right. So you just in this constant loop of chasing and just going round and round and round, chasing a goal. It's that phrase of, I'll be happy when, if I just get here, I'll be right. But that destination never really and truly arrives.
Right. So it keeps changing.
So if that gratitude is a big thing, and really reflecting again and being mindful of what is already coming in and what is it already providing for.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the way our world works, particularly where we are in Australia, we are a very, very fortunate country. There is definitely a lot of hardship. There is definitely a lot of pain, but we are also very fortunate compared to a lot of countries out there. And Kelly experienced one of those countries last year. Yeah. And, you know, one thing I learned from her clips that she sent me while she was over there, and I wasn't even there, I was getting the clips through. I'm just looking at these young children, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, they are still smiling. They don't have flash cars. They don't have flash houses. They're flat out getting a meal a day. They're still smiling.
Yeah.
So to me, that is where that sense of eternal joy and fulfillment comes from. It's got nothing to do with material items.
Yeah.
I do get it, though, when we work with people all the time, they might want to have an impact in life. So, again, Kelly wouldn't have got to Africa if we didn't have a healthy business that we work for to have the money to pay for the flight.
Right.
So money used in the right way makes the world turn and makes a huge impact for the better. So that's the other side too.
Yes.
It's important to note.
Guys, do you have any final tips or recommendations that you want to leave? Is there something that we should all be doing with our money aside from getting our mind straight about it?
For me, I would welcome everyone to lean into their money and befriend their money. I think it's really, really important. Don't keep running away from it. If you keep running away from it, the problem is going to get bigger. You're actually going to have an enemy sitting on your shoulder. Befriend it, talk to it, have a date with it, and be in control of it. Whatever that looks like for you, have control over your money. Make sure you know where your money is going, and all that sort of stuff. Like I said, through COVID, we've gone through many, many people's budgets, and they had no idea that their money was paying for Foxtel, Netflix, different phone plans, different electricity plans. They've been on these same plans for 10 years. They've never actually taken the time to ring them now. And now they're saving themselves half the money. Yeah. So if you lean into your money, I can guarantee you that there will be some sort of reward for you, and you will feel so, so good inside. That's definitely my tip.
Love it.
My tip would be something a little bit practical that people could run with, is that to write a list, write down in one column, so 2 columns on a page, write down in the first column what you actually need. And what I mean by needs is food in the tummy, keep the lights on, and keep the roof over your head. So again, this is a really good clarity type activity. Once you set down exactly what you need, you can identify what amount of money you really need per week for those survival items. The next column is going to have what you need in your life to feel fulfilled and you're living life the way you really want. So with those 2 columns, what often happens is that you can identify exactly how much money is required to help you survive, but also meet those most important needs in your life. With that number known, often I've found with people is that they've been growing, working, or building their business just for the sake of that's what you do. The harder I work, the better off I'll be.
Yeah.
But once they put a number to what they really need and what helps them feel fulfilled, they don't need to push so hard. They realize that I don't need to do 70 hours a week anymore. I can actually work at the local store, earning the wage there, and still have what I want to have.
Right.
So it's a really good exercise to identify what it is you actually really need. And you can attach a number to it, which develops a lot of clarity.
Oh, so good. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a letter. I'm going to do the envelopes. Oh, so much of everything you shared. Thank you.
I could help.
Yeah, and definitely take the time with your money. Like I said, through this COVID, the exercises with clients and the community of ringing all those providers up. Providers is a huge list. You know, your electricity, your water bill, your phone bills, your mobile phone bills. Phoning those providers up and actually getting on a better plan. Because
what can you do for me?
What can you do for me? Asking those questions. You know, make your money work for you. You're not working for your money. Make your money work for you.
And I know actually probably just on that too, deservedness, how we feel deserved of or not. So people won't want to make those phone calls because they won't feel they deserve to ask.
Yeah.
So again, it's a mindfulness of what we feel deserve. I know we're hitting the time barrier here, so we can keep going, obviously. But
we can.
I think in a nutshell, just step into it.
Yeah.
And good will come with it.
Befriend it. Befriend your money.
and don't avoid more than anything.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, so you have this amazing podcast. People can find out about your podcast. It's More Than Money. Then you have your website, which we have in the ticker. So, and people can reach you there or any other.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. They can book in a free consult with us. There's a calendar link there. We would
happy to talk with someone over in your country.
Anybody. We're here to share our craft. It's definitely our superpower. We are very, very good at it. And
we generally love doing it too.
And we
which
love
I think
doing it. The passion it's the passion, isn't it? It just keeps driving us. So
Kye and Kelly, I adore you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Here with me, and we will definitely be staying in touch. So
absolutely. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. See you, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye.